Assalamu alaikum everyone. So I hope you all are fine. In our last class we have discussed a case from Amazon e-reader. We have discussed the introduction part, and we have discussed some questions which you need to ask yourself before moving to another country. So those are very important questions. If you are trying to move from one country to another country, there needs to be a reason behind it. So if you want to outsource your production, there needs to be a reason behind it. If you want to outsource your design, your packing, everything to another company, you need to analyze it. You need to evaluate each and every single point. You need to think about it, whether it's beneficial for your company in the long term, or whether it's not beneficial, whether it's important or not, which method is more profitable for your company, and also you need to consider the long-term business as well, not just for 1-2 years. You need to think about next 10 years or whatever, what will happen to your company. So you need to think about your company in next 5 years, 6 years, 10 years. What will happen if you stay in the country, if you don't stay, if you contract, you make different parts of your product, different components with different companies back in another place. So you need to consider all these points. Where to produce, that's a questions. As I've discussed in last class, that's a question most of the companies are asking themselves these days. Because of globalization, they are always searching for a new destination. They are always searching for a place where they can produce a good quality product with a lower price. They always try to move from one company to another, from one part to another, and also from one country to another. From country's perspective, they are also trying to facilitate more foreign direct investment, facilitate more career development for their staff, trainings. They facilitate more facilities for foreign companies, like infrastructure, technology, transportation, security, incentives, which you have discussed all of them in international business. So most of countries are also trying to attract more foreign direct investment in order to find job employment, in order to increase their GDP, in order to increase their economy as well. So that's why they are trying to pave the ground for the international business minds and international companies to invest in a country. So they are trying, every country is trying to bring reforms, bring changes in their foreign policies, in their foreign investment policies, whatever they are having. So they are trying to attract more foreign direct investment. So that's why it's the same thing. So companies, they see the world, and they see where it's more beneficial for them, more profitable for them to go and move to those countries. So you need to find answer for these questions, where you need to produce. So as an essential decision facing an international firm is where to locate its production activities to best minimize cost and improve product quality. So that's our two factors, main factors. You want to minimize your cost, you want to reduce your cost, and you want to increase your product quality, improve your product quality where you can produce. So in order to attract more customer, in order to have more customer satisfaction, so you need to focus on these things. For the firm contemplating international production, a number of factors must be considered. These factors can be grouped under 3 broad headings: country factors, technological factors, and product factors. So there are many other factors as well which you can, but overall these are 3 most important factors that needs to be considered for production. First, let me go to country factor. That's very important. So we have discussed regarding country in many chapters, chapter 2, 3, 4, the cultural issues, their economy, their value and norms, language, educations, their religious matters, availability of resources, their policies for foreign direct investment, for policies for foreign investors. Can you invest 100% on your own name, or you need to have 50% share with their own citizen? Your business visas, visa restrictions, family visas, different other income tax, their rules and regulations, educational systems, and there are many other things which we have discussed based on a country, that you need to be very careful regarding investing in another country. So we have discussed that you need to do some analysis of pest or any political, economical, social, technological factors which you need to consider regarding a country. So based on all these factors, then you can decide your production side. Will you produce? Will you invest? Will you go to that country? Will you, for example, move your plant and machinery in your company from this country to another country? Why you want to move? For example, why you want to move from Afghanistan to Tajikistan? Why you are not going to Uzbekistan? Why you are not going to Pakistan? Why you are not going to another country? So that are based on analysis you are doing. So these are the analysis which you will do before moving to so that's called the country factor. We review country specific factor in some detail earlier in this book. So in this class we have discussed political, economy, culture and relative factor. Costs differ from country to country. In chapter 6 we saw that due to difference in factor of cost, some countries have a comparative advantage for producing certain products. So we have discussed this as a international business theories. In chapter 2, 3 and 4 we have discussed political economy, national culture influence, the benefit, cost and risk of doing business in a country. So we have discussed all these details in other classes. So other things being equal, a firm should look at its various manufacturing activities where the economic, political and cultural condition, including relative factor, cost are conducive to the performance of those activities. So you need to, as we have discussed, when you are investing in another country, you need to consider their political economy, you need to consider their political issues. Are they political stable country? If it's their political instability, most of the businessmen or most of the companies will not produce in that country, because they don't know what will happen after this government. They are not sure. So if this one, most of the companies, but if some companies are taking risk, that's a different scenario. They follow high risk high profit, they go. But most of the companies, they say if the country is not politically stable, you don't know what is happening next 5 years, next 2 years, next year. Like our country, we are facing so many challenges recently. These days you see peace talks, challenges. Some say there is another government will come, short-term government or whatever is they're planning. So you see that media is covering everything. So security issue as well. So will you invest as a foreign investors in the country that they are facing these challenges? Otherwise we are having a very good opportunity regarding in different sectors, whether if it's agriculture, whether if it's electricity, dams, water, solar system, even from air, precious stones. We are having different opportunities. Vegetables, we can even export vegetables to other countries. Fruits, we can even export our fruits to whole world, different part of the world. Saffron, you saw that Afghanistan saffron become the first, got the ranking, the first saffron in the world as far as their quality is concerned. Before it was Iran, now it's Afghanistan saffron. So that's a very good business. We can export it to many. There is other medical plants which we can use. We are having opportunity, but unfortunately, because of these situations that we are now under it, we cannot invest foreign, we cannot attract foreign direct investment. Even if we are having security and everything is stable. Trust me, even the Afghans that they bring their wealth from other countries, United Arab Emirates, from Europe, it will be enough for Afghanistan. Even our own Afghan, if they bring their wealth, it will be millions of dollars. So that's the challenges which you can see. So if you're facing the country is facing, as we have discussed, political issue, cultural issue, relative their own native value norms. If you're, for example, investing in a beef industry in a place where mostly Hindus are living, that's a culture. Even as from Islamic perspective, if you're selling alcohol or something else in Islamic country, that's a cultural issue. So these are country factors which you need to consider. If there is a political, if the company is doing good in from political perspective, if they're not having any issue with the security, everything, definitely they choose for what we call it, they choose this country as a state, because the cost will be what we call it, stable. So the cost will not increase or decrease. So recently you saw the fire in Islam Qala, and you see the price of petrol. It was 38 Afghani, now today it was 42 Afghani. And I have asked the guy in the petrol pump, I said, because of just fire you have increased 4 Afghanis per liter. He said, this is the petrol that we are having in our storage here in Kabul. So just pray that it will go to 70 Afghanis. We will see tomorrow, in coming days it might jump to over 60 to 70 Afghanis per liter. So these are the petrol that the companies are having in their storage. It's not the petrol that are there. So if we don't receive in coming 2-3 days new petrol tankers, so definitely the price will jump to 70 Afghanis. So imagine, from fire, it's not stable. So you pay, just think from a company perspective, you are spending 1000 liter of petrol, you need to pay 38 Afghani. Now you are paying, say, let's say 60 Afghanis, 70-80% or 100% increase. So that's a problem. So that's a problem which countries are facing. So in chapter 13 we refer to the benefit derived from such a strategy as location economies. We argue that one result of strategy is the creation of global web of value creation activities. Difference in relative factor, cost, political economy, culture in location, externalities are important, but other factors also loom large: formal and informal trade barriers. So we have discussed trade barriers as well. So if we have discussed tariffs, different form of tariffs, we have discussed all these things, so that matters as well. Formal and informal barrier obviously influence location decision. See chapter 7. So we have discussed as do transportation cost and rules and regulation regarding foreign direct investment. So what is the transportation cost? Do they have air transportation, sea transportation, road transportation, motorways, everything? Rules and regulation regarding foreign direct investment. So we have discussed some countries are not allowing foreigners to invest 100% on their own names, so they need to go to another country, another citizen of that country, and they need to invest on their name. For example, Saudi Arabia, before India was 10 years before, the same thing they were. You need to what we call it, 49% is the company will belongs to you, and 51% you need to have an Indian partner. So because of this they have brought reform and they have changed that, and they say any company, especially any country want to invest a citizen, they can invest 100%. But unfortunately we still have a problem with our own passport, that still they are having certain rules for Afghanistan, Bangladesh, and Pakistan, in other countries. But most of the foreign countries, they can come in without any problems. They can invest, they can buy companies, they can buy property, they can buy plants, machinery, everything. So as an Afghan, you see, you cannot invest in in property, you cannot buy home and all these things. So that's a issue which you need to be very careful. So you need to consider their transportation cost. For example, if you decided, for example, you're in Afghanistan and you have decided to produce your product in United States, so will you need to consider the transportation cost, how much it will cost your product to reach to Afghanistan from United States, how much transportation cost will you need to pay. Can you compete with the same in the market? So that's a question which you need to ask yourself. Next one, the technological factor. So the technological factor, we all know the availability of technology. Do they have latest technology? Do they have resources? Everything. Because of technology, they are connected with the world. So if you're having low internet, no speed, electricity, no new features, security of technology, your data, everything is not secure, so what will happen? That's it. So imagine last few days our internet is also an issue we are facing. The work that we are doing in half day, in other countries you can do it in 1 hour because of high speed of internet. So it's very, very expensive. I know, even if you consider the neighbor countries, in Pakistan you get 50 GB for 400 Pakistani rupees. So imagine with 400 rupees you get 50 GB internet. Here we get 5 GB for 500, or I'm not sure, for around. So imagine. So that's the availability of new technologies, new companies, service. So if you are buying for example, I was planning to buy a computer for my brother. So there was a brand new computer, so I was thinking let's buy brand new, but the company was Lenovo. So I saw the computer, I say okay, that's good, but I said how much? He said how many years is the guarantee or warranty? He said 1 week for us and 2 years for the company, from the company. I said okay, so where I need to take it? They say okay, oh, unfortunately the Lenovo branch is not here, if anything happen you need to take it to Dubai. So I need to pay air ticket, everything, and go and take my computer there. So that's a issue. You don't have a official branch of these companies that you need to go because of new technologies, and new technology come to other countries, then slowly come to our country. So the type of technology a firm used to perform specific manufacturing activity can be pivotal in location decision. So which type of technology they are using, is it available in the country or not? For example, because of technological constraint, in some cases it is necessary to perform certain manufacturing activity in only one location and serve the world market from there. So do you have transportation? Let's say we have got postal, where you can post from one location to different part of the world, and you can send to your customer on time. Because your customer, you say in 2 days and they didn't receive that, that's not a good example. So that's another issue. In another case, the technology may make it feasible to perform an activity in multiple location. Can I have access? It's not only technology, is a banking system, payment, everything is there. Availability of MasterCard, debit cards, and availability of other new technologies. So that's another issue which you need to be considered. Now next one is product factor. Product factor is basically which type of product you're producing, because some products are having low weight but have a high value, like saffron. It has a very less weight, but the value of compared to weight is much higher. Like precious stones, let's say, like nuts we are having that are exported through air corridor to China, because the value is much higher compared to their weight. But when you're doing a product factor, when you're producing a product that's not weight a lot but cost much, for example perfume, if the weight is compared to other product, it's less. Like 100 ml perfume costs you $100. for example. So there are different product, watches, jewelries, other products, gifts. So you need to think about your product. Is it the value, the weight, how much does it cost for transportation? Imagine petrol, their weight is compared to their price is much higher. So if you're importing, for example, petrol from another country, definitely you will pay more transportation cost. For example, let's say we have onion and we have watermelon, we cannot export it through air corridor because the value compared to their weight is less. So if you are spending a lot of money on the air corridor and sending potatoes and onions and watermelon to other countries, the cost is less. The cost is much higher compared to their value. But if you are sending saffron, if you are sending nuts, if you are sending precious stones, if you are sending medical plants, the value compared to their weight is much higher. So that's called product factors. So you need to consider this as well. Two product features affect location decision. The first is the product value to weight ratio because of its influence on transportation cost. Many electronic components and pharmaceuticals have high value to weight ratio. They are expensive and they do not weigh very much. Thus, even if they are shipped halfway around the world, their transportation costs account for a very small percentage of total cost. Given this, other things being equal, there is a great pressure to produce these products in the optimal location and to serve the world market from there. The opposite holds for a product with low value to weight ratio. Refined sugar, certain bulk chemicals, paint, and petroleum products all have low value to weight ratio. They are relatively inexpensive products that weigh a lot. Accordingly, when they are shipped a long distance, transportation costs account for a large percentage of your total cost. Thus, other things being equal, there is a great pressure to make these products in multiple locations close to major market to reduce transportation cost. So that's overall, I think it's very clear. It's very clear. So you see that there's two ratios of value to weight ratio. You can see that low value to weight ratio as well. So you see certain products like sugar, if you're producing sugar here and you're exporting it to very far away, definitely it will cost a lot in transportation cost, like paints and petroleum and other products. So that's why when you're producing your product, then you need to know which type of product you are having. Is it value to weight ratio? You need to consider how much transportation cost you are paying and how much you are sending it to another place. Will that affect your business, your overall cost? So that's called product factor. So three factors we have discussed. One is country factor, we have discussed technological factor, and we have discussed overall product factor. These are the factors which you need to consider before producing your product in another country. So you need to think about it and you need to decide whether to go. There is one thing which is very important, which I want you to consider while doing your business: the hidden cost of foreign locations. There is a very important thing. There is a hidden cost which you might not aware of that. That's called employees turnover. If you left Afghanistan and you moved your company to India and you have started let's say operating in India, your plant, machinery, everything is there. There is a high turnover of employees. There might be high turnover of employees. Employees might come and go because there is more opportunity. There might use your company, whatever. That cost a company. That is very important. So that's why most of the companies that they are investing in another country, they considered some hidden cost, some rules, regulations, high turnover of employees. If it's high turnover, definitely it cost a company. So there is a case, I think a company from United States came to Hyderabad, India, and they saw that 40% of their employees have left the company in last 1 month. So they have given them a lot of incentive benefits, but still when they get a good opportunity, they left your company, they go to another. when they get a good opportunity, they leave your company and they go to another company. So there may be some hidden cost to basing production in a foreign location. Numerous anecdotes suggest that high employee turnover, shoddy workmanship, poor product quality, and low productivity are significant issues in some outsourcing locations. Microsoft, for example, established a major facility in Hyderabad, India for 4 very good reasons. First, the wage rate of software programmers in India is 1/3 of that in the United States. Second, India has an excellent higher education system that graduate a lot of computer science major every year. Third, there was already a high concentration of information technology companies and workers in Hyderabad. Fourth, many of Microsoft highly skilled Indian employees, after spending years in the United States, wanted to return home, and Microsoft saw the Hyderabad facility as a way of holding on this valuable human capital. So these were 4 reasons that Microsoft selected India, Hyderabad, to move and produce there. So now, however, the company has found that the turnover rate among its Indian employees is higher than in the United States. So there is a turnover rate. Demand for software programmers in India is high, and many employees are prone to switch jobs to get better pay. Although Microsoft has tried to limit turnover by offering good benefits and long-term incentive pay such as stock grants to high performers who stay with the company, many of the Indians who were hired locally apparently place little value on a long-term incentive and prefer high current pay. High employees turnover, of course, has a negative impact on productivity. So we all know, I think it's very simple points, so I don't need to explain it. One Microsoft manager in India noted that 40% of his core team had left within the past 12 months. In 1 year, they have lost 40% of their core team, like their high value member of their team. Why? Because of high turnover. So it's very hard if you are losing, for example, if you are having 100 employees and you are losing every year 40 top employees. Definitely you have to bring 40 new employees, job announcement, placement, interview, location, training. You invest a lot of money on them. Again next year they leave, again next year they leave. So that's why that's the issue that the companies are facing, making it very difficult to stay on track with development project. So that's all that hidden costs. So now let me review the whole session that we have discussed. We have discussed global production outsourcing. So making the Amazon Kindle, we have discussed this. We have the example why Amazon have produced their product in different countries. We have discussed the introduction, these questions you need to answer before leaving to another country. We have discussed where to produce. You need to consider country factor, technological factor, and product. There are many other factors, but these are most important. So we have discussed in country factor, we have discussed this in chapter 2-3, cultural issue, norms, values, religious, political instability, social security, everything regarding a country. Next, we have discussed technological factor, availability of technology. Next, product factors, your high value product, high weight, and everything you need to consider that. Next, some hidden cost of foreign location. So if you're moving from one location to another, it's very important for you. You need to consider that. So that's overall this chapter. So we will talk some other as well. So I hope you all are doing well, and I hope you are studying for your exam, because we are very near to your final semester exam. So if we get time to revise everything in the class, that will be very better. But if we didn't get, it's your own job to read and learn and follow these lectures.